Hi, my name is Farhad Haidari. I'm Principal Architect at Architectus. Architectus is a national multidisciplinary practice, design practice, where we bring together architects, urban designers and interior designers together to be able to collaborate on special sites and special projects such as this one. This site, given its heritage fabric, its legacy in history, and also the kind of care that it provides, really does require that careful attention. I was aware of the site prior to coming to site initially, and my first impression was driving around the outside and really not making a connection about what lies behind the street presence. And that is that there are a number of buildings that have been developed or built over a number of decades around the perimeter, not all of them serving the function of the hospital or provision of care for the residents. So upon first entering this site, it was a sense of amazement to be able to see these beautiful heritage buildings, and also in this beautiful setting, mature landscaping, and a sense of calm in the middle of the city. And it's something that kind of intrigued us as to how come we didn't know about this? How come we hadn't seen it? And it's just that because over time that original estate that was developed with buildings around the outside and around perimeter where it was houses or buildings down the track, it lost its sense of what it was, which was estate. Part of that first impression was that, well, there's an opportunity here to be able to link it back to its history, to its legacy, trying to, before we get ahead of ourselves, really understand what that was, that legacy and that history, and to also understand the needs of the locals here. It is an opportunity to be able to really devise a concept master plan that is holistic, that looks at the site as a whole, rather than introducing a building where it's required, and to be able to take those buildings that are really past their life and to be able to plan for the future, for the next 20, 50 years. The community concept will need to contribute to the wider community, to the local context, and also to the wider context. This is a very large site, it's a very large state, and therefore it requires that level of attention. That means that we're not really focusing on this site on its own. It is really important that we engage with the local community, with those working and living on the site, and also potential future residents and workers that might be coming here, to be able to ascertain that a concept design or concept master plan meets everyone's needs, and it is something that is going to be flexible enough to evolve and change and get better over time, as opposed to here's a development for now. We had to unravel a number of different layers to go back in time to really understand historically what this site was about, and through to the very early days of the Waverley family when they settled in here, what was the purpose of the site, and as it evolved over time, different iterations, whether it was through the late 1900s, pre-World War II, or in the 60s and 70s in the current days. So we've looked at the way as each building was introduced, how they impacted the site, some good, some not so good. The site itself has a great fall across the site from east to west. It has this beautiful vegetation, and it's got these beautiful heritage buildings. So we had to really understand that in trying to ensure that a place for seniors has an ability to provide safe, comfortable spaces. In the way the existing hospital, this beautiful Vicarage building, addressed the heritage gardens, we're trying to make sure that that aged care facility, as it also sits on the edge and addresses this beautiful garden, that it does it in a very sensitive way, and that is by not really kind of trying to mimic the architectural style of the old heritage buildings. Each building here tells its own story about its own time. We want to make sure that the buildings that we will propose will also tell their story of their own time for the future generations. So as part of that, we're looking at these buildings for inspirations around things like, sensible design ideas, order, scale, and beautiful, breezy balconies and the like, as you can see here. But then also doing that in a way where it is about today, it's about contemporary. design and a contemporary design solution to a problem, which is the provision of care buildings. Part of that structure is we're working with a set of controls that we're given, and we are working well within those to be able to make sure that there's nothing offensive and that these beautiful buildings retain their prominence, their significance as they are, that they retain their outlook and the way they address the public spaces. And then we bring in the next layer and I guess the future plans about how you can actually complete that master plan over the next 5-10 years, however long this staging might take place.